on the first page. Good morning. Can everyone hear me? All right, good deal. Welcome. I'll declare a quorum and call the meeting to order. Pastor Rick Phelps is going to, from our emergency management, is going to pray for us this morning.
Join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful morning that you've given us, and what appears like rain headed this way, we'll take all we can get. Father, as we head into August, we know that that means the kids are getting ready to go back to school. So Father, I ask a special blessing upon our kids, our educators, administrations, and support personnel, and help them to kick off to have a wonderful year. Lord, I ask that you be with our commissioner's court this morning as they deal with money and decisions on money, which is never easy. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Rick. Please forgive me. I'm for some reason losing my voice, so I'll try to speak up a little louder. Item number 3 is recognition of any special guests. We have quite a few, probably too many to recognize in here this morning. So we'll go on to item number 4, citizens' comments. I don't have anyone to sign up to speak, but if you haven't signed up and would like to speak, please raise your hand so I can see you. Okay, then we'll move on to item number 5 is consideration approval of agenda, minutes and budget workshop from July 26, 2021. You got those electronically.
I make a motion to approve the minutes. That's presented by the county clerk, both sets.
We have a motion, Mr. Trey with a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carries unanimously. Any treasurer or auditors report?
Sharon, I abstain.
Sorry about that, Gary. Glad to have you back. Any, item number 7, consideration of, and approval of any treasurer or auditors reports. Sign these. Okay, item number 8 is our consent agenda. We take each item individually though. I'll come back to 7, which is our bills. I'm gonna skip to, because of time purposes, I'm gonna skip to item number 8, King, K as in King, which is, our district attorney and our county court at law judge and our district judge would like to speak to you in consideration of possible approval regarding, the use of American Rescue Plan Act, funding for technology for branches. We're scheduled for about 10 minutes if that'll be enough.
Good morning.
Welcome.
As you know, the county's been on a net data system since approximately 1996. I think I started here, the year before that actually got here. It's pretty simple technology, started off with green screen technology. It's kind of ran its course in terms of effectiveness for the county. As you know, the district attorney's office had to navigate away from that, utilizing different software for the Michael Morton Act. And then additionally, it just continually does not meet the needs of the district attorney's office and many other offices. I know last week, both myself, Alicia, Mike Smith, the district judge, Sam Moss, the county court law judge, Sharon Ferguson, the county clerk, and then Cheryl Jones, the district clerk, all had a Zoom meeting with officials from one software company, Odyssey, specifically to talk about what they provide and so forth. And from that, we were able to gather a lot of good information. As we sit here right now with this golden opportunity of monies for the American Rescue Plan, I know that the county has visited this issue many, many times about the possibility of replacing that software and moving on to a system that will meet everybody's needs within the courthouse. And so now is probably as good of a time as any to talk about that once again, given the opportunity to have additional monies, not out of the county coffers alone, to look at that as a possibility of going forward with that project at this time. Alicia's prepared a presentation for you. I know Mr. Moss wanted to be here this morning, but couldn't because of a doctor's appointment for one of his kiddos. And so at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Alicia and let her go ahead. And we also have Matt Christie here with the IT in case there's any technological questions about that.
Now, before you begin, just for everybody's information, the cost will be, what they're proposing will be reduced because we don't need the law enforcement component. The sheriff, as I understand it, is, so we can remove that, and that would save us quite a bit of money, as I understand.
That's correct.
There's kind of a couple facets to that, if you will, I'll kind
Sure.
of cover that in just a moment. Basically, what we're asking you to do is approve $1.5 million of the American Rescue Plan Act for a countywide software infrastructure upgrade. And that money is money that would be needed inevitably from the county's budget at some point in time. I was trying to think of kind of a good way to explain the archaicness of net data for what we do. And one of the best ideas I had is, comparing it to county vehicles. We would invest in Model T vehicles for people to drive around as county vehicles because that's ridiculous. It's inefficient, it's cost prohibitive, and it won't get the job done. For information dependent systems like our court system, basically net data is like a Model T vehicle that we are driving around that has archaic technology as the basis that it's built on. And so it is incapable of doing the things that our offices, the clerk's offices, the judge's offices, our office have to do in order to be a modern operating system. And I think that the requirements on these offices are going to get more and more as the legislature continues to pass unfunded mandates, such as the Michael Morton Act. You've seen the problems with two offices having to go off and buy their own software to try to compensate for that deficiency where net data cannot do automated notifications, we can't e-file within that data, we cannot upload audio or video. Even the documents that we upload are very low quality. And so the inefficiency of net data is resulting in a secondary problem that directly relates to what y'all have jurisdiction over with the budget, which is that we are paying duplicative costs for the county. The district attorney's office has paid upward of $85,000 for our software. The sheriff's office has had to invest roughly around $85,000 in software for themselves. And we all still also have to operate in that data because the court system is in that data and the clerk's office is in that data. It means we have $170,000 already in duplicative costs for the counties in software because we are unable to modernize the system as a whole. What we're proposing is that we actually find a way to use the American Rescue Plan Act to offset the major impediment in upgrading. The annual maintenance fee of other software providers is not the impediment to us going forward because in the discussions we've had with Odyssey and Tyler, I think that we could probably reach a similar level of annual maintenance fee from another software provider. The impediment is the initial upfront cost, that $4.5 million price tag. I've passed out some information from Tyler. One of the questions we had for them is, can this funding be used in this way? They not only believe that it can be, they already have other counties presenting similar measures and coming under the American Rescue Plan Act. There's a couple of ways in which this particularly would be helpful. If you have an internet-based software instead of a local network, net data is local network-based. That means you cannot use it outside of the courthouse. So if you are quarantined because of COVID, if you are working from home to try to socially distance, you can't get on that data to access anything that you need to. We've managed to figure out how to do court from anywhere over Zoom, but we can't take the files that we need with us outside of the courthouse unless we have a physical file. And when you've gone paperless, as our office has, that's challenging. You can't come get a paper file. We have been able to function with our office because we're on Document Logistics, which is internet-based, but the court cannot take the files digitally home with them. So that's one way this comes under the plan. Another thing is it opens up community access to the court system. Right now, the ability for people to come in and see court documents, I believe, is limited to certain stations here at the courthouse where you have to physically come in. We could limit the foot traffic through the courthouse, increase the ability of people from every jurisdiction to save on gas money, save on COVID exposure by accessing that through an internet portal. Another huge factor is we increase the safety of our infrastructure. I don't know how many of y'all have actually seen the servers we have downstairs, the big servers in Matt's office. But those are a liability and a risk for us. If anything happens to the courthouse, fire, flood, some other natural disaster, I believe Matt has a backup copy that he physically carries around with him of all of our court data. God forbid something happened to Matt while it's happening to the courthouse, but we would be without any of our infrastructure, our informational infrastructure, if that happened. Modern technology has cloud-based resources, so that instead of having a physical server downstairs, you have cloud-based services that are redundant. So it's the information is stored in multiple places, so that if there's some sort of natural disaster, we still have our information, we can still keep going. That's also another savings for the county. I don't know if y'all have looked at the line item cost for servers much. We at our office have had to invest in our own servers. They are not cheap. And they are an ongoing cost to the county. As we continue to expand digitally, we will continue to need more and more servers. We will need more space for servers, and that cost will grow. The bid that we have from Odyssey includes cloud-based services at a projected growth rate so that we will no longer have to rely on, purchase, update, maintain physical servers. And we will no longer have the cybersecurity risk of maintaining physical servers here on site, which is also another way that we can fall under the rescue plan, is improving the cybersecurity area. Not to mention, on top of all of that, the output product you will see from courts going forward under a new system will be astronomically improved. So better quality product. The quote that we have from Odyssey, the total upfront cost would be $1.3 roughly million. We've asked for $1.5 million with a couple of contingencies. And that there's a lot to work through here. If you want a more in-depth discussion of all of the details of how this would work, what types of transitions there would be, what all this covers, we'd be happy to do that, but I know you may not have time for it this morning. This would include everyone in the county except for the sheriff's office, because they did just enter into a contract that has been locked in for 2 years. I have spoken with the sheriff, though. I believe he does also agree with the idea of a county-wide software system. And so one thing to kind of contingency related to that would be in the future, if they see that it would be beneficial for all of us to reunite under a software system, they would be open to that discussion. And we could potentially do that within the 3-year window of the rescue plan and avoid the county's cost for that.
Matt, last we talked, I thought we were gonna be well under the 1 million mark. What happened?
That's a good question. We haven't had time.
I
Did you
actually,
answer that?
yeah,
Okay.
because I talked to the.
I talked to Matt last, that's why I was looking at
She
this.
said more discussions with the software.
Sorry.
So
My
she has some of that number.
So a couple of things related to that. This is a worst case scenario. I told her I want the absolute worst numbers you could give us, maximum possible. Tell me how bad could it possibly be if we put every piece of optional software on there for all of, so there's some for the clerk's office that would be converting over from net data. That includes the auditor and the treasurer for them to be able to convert. It includes everybody except for the sheriff's office. The other thing is that also includes a level of one of the annual maintenance yearly cost. So the total annual maintenance cost at the worst case scenario they gave us is $271,311. I have assurances that they do give discounts off of that amount based on what the total project eventually looks like. Their discounts, they haven't figured them in yet because we were on a short time frame for getting this quote. But their discounts generally run between 10 to 15%. They are committed to, they can meet or beat the annual maintenance costs that we are receiving from Net Data right now. So over the long run, we believe that the annual maintenance cost will be less than for Net Data.
And Sharon, the clerk, y'all like this idea?
Yes, we do.
Is this the one y'all was talking about beforehand? Is this part of all of that?
Yeah, we had a demonstration years ago, but,
No, I mean, that y'all asked for last week.
No.
Is this part of that deal? No.
No, that's digital scanning items. Of course, that dollar amount, the most we could do today is if the commissioner so chooses, is make a motion to accept bids, because we'll have to advertise because of the dollar amount.
Well, and that was one of the things we wanted to discuss to you. We also got a bid from who we assume and presume to be the most expensive of the vendors. The reason we did is because it appears from everything we've seen thus far that most of the counties in Texas are moving towards Tyler and Odyssey.
Yeah,
There
that's it.
used to be a big competitor called TechShare, and based on our research, it looks like a lot of the counties that used to be big advocates of TechShare are migrating towards Odyssey.
I did some checking around with the other judges, and that seems to be the Cadillac plan.
So what's the current, like 84 counties?
84 counties, something like that. There are a large number of counties converting from Net Data to Odyssey, a large number of counties converting from TechShare to Odyssey. It is expensive. That's been why you haven't gotten a presentation like this before. But the end discussion point with this is, at some point in time, the county is going to have to do this. It is inevitable that Net Data is going to break to the point of we can't do our jobs. You've already seen $170,000 go down the drain because we haven't been able to afford this upfront $1.5 million outlay.
Well,
Has that already been spent? Have you accepted it?
That was for us to function in the past.
under
Like,
that
that's what we've had, we and the sheriff's office have had to put out.
at some point, they're gonna stop servicing that data. You know, it was bought by another company. They're still servicing it now, but at some point in time, we anticipate that they're gonna.
That is future, in my opinion, it's very uncertain, because they were bought by a vertical integration company. They have visited us and made promises on what they're gonna do with the software. We haven't seen anything from that yet. The actual software that we use day to day has not been updated since I've been here, which is now 10 years. Tyler has told us they do software upgrades every year. That data, there's no innovation coming out of that company from what we've seen since in a decade. They have promised us in the last year, they have promised us there are things coming down the pipe, big changes, things like that. There's no concrete evidence of what they're planning, so there's a lot of uncertainty in their future, and we need something different now. We needed something different 5 years ago.
And the good thing is whenever they do their upgrades yearly, regardless of what those upgrades are, we get it for free.
Yes.
So with Odyssey.
Which includes new versions of the software. If they're on Odyssey version 10 right now, and they move up to Odyssey version 11, we don't have to buy it again. They can give it to us for free based on that annual maintenance cost that we're paying.
Well, just my thoughts are, even if, I know we've been trying to focus the rescue plan funds back to the community, but even if we don't choose to use those funds for it, which they obviously do qualify, we're sitting on a healthy reserve, and at some point in time, we're gonna have to bite the bullet and do this. So I'm in favor of the program, even if we have to do a one-time capital expense out of our reserves if we choose not to go with the American Recovery. Either way, I think it's long overdue, and I think if we don't go ahead and switch soon, we're gonna find ourselves, left out in the cold and scurrying, and may cost us a lot more money. But the most the court could do today is approve going out because of the price tag, going out for bids. So
And I think, I think what would be good if you could authorize us to form a technology committee to study it further and get bids from everybody that we deem that would be pertinent to being able to provide the level of product that we need to operate the entire courthouse within a unified system. Allow us to do that and then come back and make those presentations to you in terms of what we find out. That would probably be optimal in terms of giving you all the information you can and deciding what would be best for the county and push forward.
We probably should have formed a phone committee too. I still haven't figured out how to work mine out.
I learned the system pretty quick.
You're right.
I can definitely help you. So they taught me pretty quick. The system.
Okay.
I'll be able to-
Can you have a special class for Judge Lilly and I?
Yeah, we can do that.
Can use our fund.
Well, let me address one more thing that you had just mentioned. Speaking of giving back a lot of this to the community. Part of Tyler's software that is actually attracting me and probably to some of the others is that there is a public component to Tyler's software, a public access component that's going to allow the public to much easier access a lot of the information that they have to come to the courthouse to see from home. That's going to help reduce courthouse traffic. It's going to help make information much easier to access by the public. It's going to streamline the information process, and it may even prevent a lot of public information requests that hit our offices, because some of that information will be available through the Tyler system to them without having to come up here. So there is some public interface with that that's included that will serve the public and make things easier for a lot of folks who come in and out of the courthouse daily looking for information.
And increasing the community involvement within your system is also one of the components within the American Rescue Plan that makes it eligible for those funds. And so it's multi-pointed, it is why it falls within that plan. So there's at least three provisions of that plan that this will fall under that will allow you all to use the money in that.
Judge, you've been quiet and everything, but
I'm here, I support this wholeheartedly, I'm kind of the new kid on the block. I can tell you in our private practice, we use this a lot in other counties. If any of you are curious enough to see an example, Tom Green County uses it, and so you can go over there and go do court record search, and you play around with it and see what it does, and it's really quite remarkable, and it's a good look for that county. It's going to be a good look for Brown County. It's not just going to help us do our jobs better, but it helps the public realize that we take this seriously and they can get what they need. I talked last week, we mentioned, asked Sharon, and she's on board with this. Cheryl is here. She and I met last week. She was part of the group, and they're the ones that will be laboring in the vineyard really of dealing with this and getting the documents where they need to be. And so they've got to be on board with it. And I believe Cheryl is, and so it needs to happen.
so what would be and I know we need to move on, what would be the yearly cost for this one if we were to purchase, if we went with Tyler?
The annual maintenance fee is $271,000, $311 from the initial.
I heard you say, I just want to make sure that everybody heard.
Yeah. That is subject to a 10 to 15% discount. We currently pay net data $260,000 and some odd change
For the system we have.
for the system we have.
Yes. And that number creeps up every year as well.
Yes, but the first year of annual maintenance would be included within that upfront fee. So it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around that, but you actually get a bonus of roughly $250,000 that you save on annual maintenance fees. It's a complex pricing structure, but you wind up saving the county about $250,000 because it's built into that 1.5 million.
So you would say.
I think that Michael had a very good idea a while ago to get a representative from each office together and come up with a plan.
Would you like to make that?
We can't make a decision this morning on how to spend any of this, whatever, all of this that we've got out here, because it's not feasible. But I think we do need to research it further and need to come back with us and present a specific plan.
Would you like to make a motion to appoint a committee?
I
I think that'd be a good idea.
don't know all the offices involved. Is it just clerks, DA, judges? What?
Judge Moss has been involved, obviously.
Well, no, that would be involved with using the software.
Yeah, who proposed to be on the committee?
Yeah.
I would say a representative from my office, I would nominate Alicia, being our technology in-house person,
Would you,
Judge Smith, Judge Moss, Matt.
Alicia, would you chair the
Sharon,
committee?
And Cheryl.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Like I
So,
said, a representative from each office that will be involved in using the software. And y'all can decide who the representative is. It doesn't matter to me.
And I would actually suggest to include someone from the sheriff's office, because I think they have a 2-year contract.
Right?
And so I think that they would have an eye towards someday potentially joining up with us.
And the treasurer and auditor needs to be in that too, because I think they'll be using it. So,
And,
That was my
Oh.
point, that
Are we assuming this is something that would be approved under the American Rescue Plan?
We don't have any doubt about that.
We don't have any doubt.
Given the components that we're looking at that would address those issues within the American Rescue Plan, that would make it covered by that.
And Tyler has use cases in other counties where they have to use American Rescue Plan money.
As I
Absolutely.
said before, that last conference I attended, in the forum discussion, that's what they discussed, through the counties utilizing it for that.
if we need to establish a committee, I don't mind doing that. I move that we establish a committee to look into this new, is it Tyler?
Tyler's the parent company, Odyssey's the specific.
Odyssey's the
For new software system for the county. District Attorney's Office, District Judge's Office, County Judge's Office, County Court, Law Office, Auditor's Office, Treasurer's Office, County Clerk and District Clerk. Now, does the Sheriff's Office and would the tax assessor be involved in that software?
They have
No,
a
they
state
don't
manager.
use it at all.
Is that everybody that's involved with that software?
County attorney.
County attorney? Yeah.
the, could I amend your motion just to have, I just want to name Alicia as the chair of the committee, so we have a contact person. Is that okay? So we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second by Commissioner Shaw to appoint a committee. Any further discussion? I look forward to hearing what you come back to us
Do
with.
y'all have a time frame that you'd like for us to think of?
Well, sooner the better. If we can't include it by the August deadline, that's okay. We'll do it for next year's. But
The deadline for the American Rescue Plan is 2 years, 2024.
and we need to try and please get us at least 3 vendors if you can.
Yes, absolutely. I guess the other thing to make you aware of is this is a long conversion process. It roughly takes about 18 months, I believe,
Yeah, it's
from start to finish. So as Michael and I have already converted from one software company, it is harder than you would know to do all the legwork behind it and get it ready. So we do want to keep an eye on that 18 months and 3-year deadline for
So
those.
by the time you get it done, then we're going up about another 10% or 20.
These rates are locked in for, we get a quote for the first
Or
3
it'll be
years.
obsolete probably.
Are these monies you're talking about, does that include transfer of the information from one to the other?
Yes, it
Okay.
includes.
So we hadn't taken a vote yet. We have a motion and a second by Commissioner Shaw. All in favor to form the committee? Carries
I still have
unanimously.
one more question. So if we open this up to the internet, then that, some of this stuff is sensitive and it is not internet accessible now. Is that not a risk?
No,
It's not a risk,
well, it's always a risk,
right?
always, but it's as much of, we are as much at risk now as we would be, because while our information is not open to the internet, it is connected to the internet, and anything connected to the internet has inherent risk. Now, Tyler, given that they will be hosting our data, has much better capabilities to protect that data than we do, and much more resources to protect that data. So in my opinion, we would actually be mitigating the risk. We would be lessening that risk.
Just so everybody understands, Joel likes an old jumbo pencil and a Big Chief tablet. Cannot agree with that. I'm just saying.
I'm with him, I'm with him.
I understand that.
You'll have a hard time hacking my Big Chief tablet. I would say.
That's true.
I understand.
And an eraser he can chew on, so.
This may be more information that you want to know, but one of the things that I've learned about cybersecurity and software over the last couple of years is CJIS is one of the most restrictive, and y'all are familiar with CJIS, I'm assuming, maybe thinking
Yes.
wrongly on that.
We get the reports.
Gotcha. So CJIS has some of the most restrictive rules for how you can store data. Odyssey is in compliance with CJIS and meets their level of security requirements, which is more than what we as the county set as our threshold for security. So,
The CJIS security requirements are dictated by the FBI.
Yeah.
And they are in compliance with.
Yet they shut down our pipeline system without, it's just, I don't, you can say what you want.
Well,
Say
they're
what
not,
you
they
want.
weren't CJIS compliant.
And I am computer savvy enough to be scared, to know what you should and shouldn't do, but
Truly with cybersecurity, there is always risk. Cybersecurity is always, we are always playing catch up. We're always behind the back. That's just how it looks. Every system that has been designed to protect data has been breached in some way.
never forget the Titanic.
Exactly. There are no unsinkable servers.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm just trying to,
Yeah, there's like,
I'm not,
no. Just like our-
All right, item number 8A is an item, and I know, y'all are here to answer questions, I'm getting to y'all as soon as I can. But item, let me knock these out of the way. 8A is an item consider possible action regarding burn ban, weather outside, what would y'all like to do?
We talked last week, if nothing changed, we probably going to put it on today. We got a 80% chance of showers. I don't know.
Keep reducing our chances of power.
Maybe by the time we get to the court, it may or may not have rained. Let's put that out in the last.
So you want to take no action, so.
Let's wait till the end of the court.
Okay. Item number 8B is in boy is the sheriff consideration of possible approval regarding employee changes. I know you've been standing patient. Thank you.
good morning.
Good morning.
Our jail count is 160 this morning. And it looks like we're only housing 2 contract right now. We had more than that last week. I didn't sign that.
How many out of county do we have?
Just 2 right now. We had more last week because we had Hood County. And I sent Sabbath County.
Be sure to send them a bill. Be sure to send them a bill.
This one. Is it someone you want to sign? Do you need me to sign that? I don't recall anybody else. Sorry, I bet we did your bill. I have 2 employee changes. I have Frank Hernandez will be replacing Noah Accord for a jailer's position. There's no change in the salary. It's $32,000 annually. I did not sign that one. And then I have a part-time visitation clerk, and it is Charity Farrow, and she will be replacing Rita Dwayne. And it is $13 per hour, not to exceed the 20 hours.
I make a motion to approve both of the employee changes in the sheriff's office.
Do we have a motion? Do I have a second?
second,
Second by Commissioner Worley. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carries unanimously. Item number 8C is in Charles. Is also the sheriff consideration plus approval of action regarding accepting donations to the sheriff's office.
Yes, I have 1 check for Levin's Body Shop for a donation, and it's for $80.
Tommy's a good man.
I move we approve the donation for sheriff's department.
Here we have a motion and a second by Commissioner Trawick. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carries unanimously. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, let's see here. Item number 8, M is in Mary. There's a lot of people in the audience for this one. This is, Josie and I worked on this last week. This is funding for and I talked to, I think most of you individually throughout the week, and I tried to remember to bring it up with Gary, with the exception, I didn't get to visit with you, but each of our charities, our nonprofit, have asked for an increase. The sum of the increase this year in their budget request comes to $41,350. Now, fortunately, we've checked and confirmed one of the main uses for the American Rescue Plan is to subsidize and fund nonprofits exactly like we have. Now, I've visited with each of our nonprofits commissioners personally. I want to give you my word. They understand that if you approve this funding level today at the 41,000, that does not mean that they're going to have that funding next year. This is a one-time approval. Next year, it could go back to what our current funding level is as of right now, and in all likelihood would. So I've prepared for them for that. They all acknowledge it. They understand that if you approve the $41,000 increase out of the Rescue Plan Act, which is, like I said, there's a whole section in there that's designed, was written for nonprofits. So I think it's an excellent idea to and especially coming out of COVID, like Commissioner Treywick mentioned, they need it. They need the help. Their fundraising is down, and the volume of people that they're assisting is through the roof. So I'm happy to say that we can take that $41,350 out of our $3.5 million that we're sitting on right now for the American Rescue Plan Act. So if you'd like to take a one-time action, and again, I want to reiterate, this does not come from the general fund, and all of our leaders of our nonprofits understand that this is a one-time approval.
In other words, out of our general, we do the same as what we maybe did last year.
Right.
Plus this.
Right.
Judge, I have a question.
Yeah.
What about so for the Center for Life, their total they just asked for any additional funding plus the vehicle that was going to be 41,000. That total's not in this.
Right, whatever the commissioners would like to do on that, because he didn't give a specific number. But yes,
Okay.
we found a vehicle for them, which I'll get you as coming up.
Okay, sorry.
Separate, but so, I would make a motion that we go ahead and this one time use the Rescue Plan Act for the 41,000 and, get them the assistance that we can as quick as we can so that they can get that assistance out into our residents. No, they're here to answer any questions if you like. I asked them to be in the audience, but we kind of covered most of it last week, so it's entirely up to you. The sum $41,350 will come out of the rescue plan, so it will not affect our general budget whatsoever.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Why do we have to spend it today?
Well, we're just
My question.
I'll just say, I understand, well, you weren't here for all the requests. I don't have a reason not to go ahead and let them.
I'm wondering why.
Well,
Because we have 2 years to spend this money.
Well, it coincided with what they requested in this year's budget, so we went ahead and put it on here to fund out of the Rescue Plan Act.
And
We've been listening.
Some of these that are in trouble need assistance now. I know, like, remember the art in particular, came to my mind was one that was a little bit of a pickle because of fundraising and stuff. Is that correct? Did I have my memory go?
And I want to reiterate, it does not hit our general funds. So we have a motion and a second. We're doing further discussion. Gary, I want to make sure you have time to. No further discussion. I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Carries 4 and opposed. Just abstaining.
Abstain.
So 1 abstain. Did you get that, Sharon?
Yes.
So your funding levels that you've requested this year have been approved. We'll get the funding over to you. Now, what you use that money for, I need you to keep receipts because we will be audited at some point. So I have to track it. So whatever you asked for this year, we've now granted. But please understand that doesn't mean that you'll get it again next year.
Wait, we have not done the budget yet.
No,
These are
these are
the only
just-
thing we've granted is what they've asked for,
Right.
above and beyond what we had done until last year.
Right. And the Rescue Plan Act cannot be used just for the public information. We can't use it to fund something that we normally funded out of our general fund. So what we funded the nonprofits at last year will still be out of our general fund. This is a one-time increase for this year, and I hope it helps you. I hope it helps you be able to get some relief for those people out there who desperately need it. Okay, so that was item number 8. Sharon, would y'all like to go next? I've got you and Sharon on. Those of you who are nonprofits, we didn't have any questions for you after all, so you can hang around if you want, but we can't begin to thank you enough for all that you do for us.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, ma'am. God bless you. So item number 8L is in Lincoln, is Sharon Ferguson, our county clerk, and Cheryl Jones, our district clerk, consideration of possible approval of an action regarding approval of use of the American Rescue Plan Act for digitalizing old records for a sum of $769,000 for the district clerk, $699,000 for the county clerk. They realize that we probably won't take any action on that sum today because of the dollar amount, but the clerk's asked to come and speak to you, so I put it on the agenda to give them the opportunity to do so. Thank you, Cheryl and Sharon, for coming over.
This is just a request, like everyone else. We have found that we do qualify because when we were closed, we never closed our office, but we closed it to the public. And it was very difficult for them to look at all of our records because they're not all in it. And that's where we found that we had revenue loss, and we're like everyone else, we're going towards the rapid transmission of operations, remote operations, because of this COVID. And we found that this American Rescue Plan Act will help us get our images online, so when people want to look at home in the comfort of their home, that they can access these records. I do have my land records online, and it has been a huge help as far as the Appraisal District loves it and people from out of town love it. But I haven't finished. I've got like $699,000 left to do before I finish it all. It's been an ongoing project forever because it's so expensive to get these records done. But it would be a huge asset to the county and the foot traffic. But Cheryl has, I have hard copies, books that I want to be imaged. She has microfilm that she wants to be imaged, so I'll let her discuss her microfilm.
Okay. As you may not be aware, we have many microfiche cases. Microfiche is a medium that is obsolete and it can go bad over time, and often does. Once it's gone bad, we've lost those records. Now, we do have the paper records across the street in a storage unit that is not climate controlled. That paper version is very fragile and would be very difficult to scan. Okay, so microfiche would be the best version, the best way to image these cases. Our microfiche at this point is in fairly good shape, so that is why I'd like to try to go ahead and get it done while it's in good shape. And it would benefit the county greatly to have the microfiche converted and digitized while it is in good shape for preservation purposes and easy accessibility. Our county's records are crown jewels of the county, and to preserve the microfiche will benefit the county greatly. I'm not sure we even have a microfiche reader anymore in the county courthouse. Attached, I have given you guys a proposal.
Can I ask you what
Sure.
we're paying a month for your offsite storage?
Pardon me?
Do you know what
I
we're
don't
paying?
know. I don't know. That would be a question for the
I
auditor.
just thought maybe, I'm sorry.
I have given you guys a proposal. I think you guys have seen it hopefully because I've given it before now, but I wanted you to have something in your hands. Many of our Texas counties are using the American Rescue Plan Act funds to digitize and invest and preserve records. And I'm requesting that the consideration be given to preserve our microfiche in my office. The benefits of that is these cases would be digitized in case of a disaster, flooding, fire. This company Profile is like one of the best companies and used throughout Texas and probably through the country. They've got a good reputation. They're a member of the Buy Board. Their work is impeccable. I've used them. Sharon's used them. It would allow easily accessibility to our records, where we could email them out to our public and hopefully offer online to reduce the courthouse traffic. these records, you know, the paper version, of course, is fragile, and microfiche is kind of difficult for us to get to even create an image for them to have. There's 1,637,450 images that we have in my office on microfiche. That estimates to approximately 163,745 case files. So, like I said, microfiche is an obsolete medium. The total for my project would be $769,000, $769,601.50, and that's the total to do it all. We would be grateful for anything, honestly. I know that you're being pulled from so many different directions, and I'm just saying that we'd be thankful for anything. Do you have any questions for me?
What, how much money is in your records preservation now?
Well, we have that, that's a question for the auditor, I don't know offhand, but we do use that money for those kind of things. However, there's just not near, I mean, it would take.
Well, I know, but there's a plan.
Right, there is a
You
plan.
do X amount every year.
Right.
And you collect that money every year.
Right.
And that's the only thing you can spend that records preservation money for.
Well, yes, but we have other needs too. We have books that I've preserved. Last year I did a project, preserving books going back to the 1800s into the 1900s.
Right.
That's an ongoing process, so fixing to start another project. So I'm just saying that it's just a eeny, meeny, miny, mo. You have to kind of pick what your most important projects are.
But what I'm saying is there is money for records preservation.
There is money for records preservation, you are correct.
And
Just dedicated to that alone? Isn't it dedicated to
Yes.
that alone?
What's the balance?
It is.
Do we know, I didn't hear the fund balance.
I'm not sure. I could get it
On
for
the
you.
cash report, there's records.
I have a project right now that I am currently getting done, and I believe it's 250,000.
right.
And it's like, I'm going to the 1920s. And then after that project, then I'll take the 1920s to current, to the 1880s.
What does this you're presenting now, what is that? Is that in addition to what you're doing?
Yes.
Or is it instead of, or?
This, my project is to finish all of those, the 1880, my project. It's just something that, was worth asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my project is the same. And
She's got microfiche.
Right.
I do books.
I have microfiche and books. Just so you know, the ladies in my office, we also could use the money for preserving, back scanning for things that aren't on net data, okay? When I took office, we started scanning everything, so we would have a digitized image. But my ladies, in their downtime, they're going back and getting old files, and they are back scanning all that, digitizing, and trying to save the county money, you know, and it's just an ongoing project.
I understand.
And we are doing our due diligence to ask. We are doing our due diligence to ask. You know, funds are available, several counties are using it for that. Like I said, you have made a valid point, we do have preservation funds, but it would take years and years and years to do all that we need to do.
If we were to, today, I'll authorize you to go out for bids, just so we have the information. Would y'all be okay with if we were to try and move forward at some level of funding for this out of the second disbursement, which would be in January?
They don't have to have bids because the companies they're dealing with are in buy board.
Gotcha.
So
Would it be all right?
bid deal doesn't.
I just want the best bang for the buck, but would it be all right if the court decided to take action, that if they do so after the second disbursement, or where we know a little bit better where we're sitting, there being after January?
Absolutely, and maybe, you don't have to fund the whole thing, that's just what it would cost. I mean, yes, we'd like that, but we'd be thankful to have, I would be thankful to have any.
I'd like to know how much money they have currently how much it's gonna take to finish everything that they're gonna do. I mean, they're talking about in the future and how much money they get and where it comes from. Andy, so we said where we're at.
I've been here 13 years as clerk, and I've always had a project going on. It's just a continual thing.
I understand at some point you
If you're
should.
doing land, you're doing birth, death, marriage, you're doing everything.
Well,
And
you're
this-
always collecting that money, so you're getting, so you always have to have a
It's just
project
the,
going,
the funds
so
were
you can
down.
spend it. I mean, that's,
The funds were down.
And once you get digitalized, this will cut down on the foot traffic in the
Yeah, it
office.
already has in the land part.
I just wanted
I've got
for the
some
record,
on
it's-
there, but It's just a ridiculous.
Well, we're kind of transitioning to, keep in mind, we're transitioning from the paper world to the digitized world. And when I came into office, we were all paper, now digitized. So
Well, Commissioner
we've
Worley,
got a lot of ground to cover, is what I'm trying to say.
Commissioner Worley is exactly right, but when I said out for bids, what I was looking for is, once you get companies realizing that they're not the only one making a proposal, their prices tend to get a little bit better
Right.
when they understand that they have a competitor. So if we were to consider it, I'd like the best bang for the buck. So.
Well, the reason we like co-file is because there've been so many other counties that have used other companies, fly-by-night type companies, that have not gotten what they needed, spent the money, and then they had to pay to have it done twice.
Comanche County had to have it done at once.
I agree with you. I don't mind at all. I mean, I'm not trying to, cut anything off or whatever, but Shane had a very good idea earlier about, putting out something, request for proposals from everybody in the county, not just those listed here, that are requesting this American Rescue Plan money. And we have a meeting and listen to all of those and come up with a list of everything that's asked for. And then we go through it and try to decide how to spend that money. I understand that we have 3.7 million this year and 3.7 million starting next May. But we also have 2 years to spend it. It doesn't have to be spent now. It doesn't have to be decided now. All we have to do is have a plan to go forward. To me, that's the best way to do it, instead of 2 or 3 coming in this week, 10 today, 12 next week, whatever.
And I do like that idea very much. The reason why those who come in is because the act is very specific as to who you can help and who you can't. So we had Bob try and contact everybody in the county that would qualify for some sort of assistance. And I'm sure we've missed someone, but we're taking care of our nonprofits. Y'all did that this morning. But I'm all for a meeting, but what I fear is I don't want someone showing up expecting to be able to get their program funded when there may not be a clause in the Recovery Act or the Rescue Act that allows us to do that. So we tried to contact everybody that was covered under the act. But again, I think Commissioner Worley and the county attorney have a grand idea, because I'm sure between Bob and I bet we missed somebody. But
We're supposed to get that other 3.7 this fall, aren't we?
after the first, they said anytime after the first of the year.
And there were some needs, like in this other one we already passed, that had some pressing needs that were already upon them because of the COVID and the funding, the lack of funding, no fundraisers and things.
And I'll get you a figure of what we.
Right now, we have 3.5.
When do we have
Oh, yeah, they said it could be up to 12 months, but it could be right
District
after.
clerk, $38,020.
So this is the thing. We come to you today not because we're asking for it to be right now. We're not in any hurry. We don't want to rush anything. I came, and so did Sharon, I believe, just so that you wouldn't forget us, that you know that we have come forward, we see the need. It's a great need in our opinion, but, we have to ask because that's how we do our jobs.
Do it.
So we pay for it now with this money, or we can, the taxes, people can
It
pay
takes
taxes and pay for
approximately
it
a
one
year
of
to
these
do
days.
a project, yeah.
Well, and then, but they
I
get
would
that fund
like to
also.
consider it, but after we get our second.
And your records management funds come, or your archiving funds, those come from fees.
Yes, sir.
They're okay with that.
That the public pays to file instruments or whatever.
So they're currently being funded from the fees from filing.
So,
Any more questions?
so you'd be okay if we did choose to fund it at some level, you'd be okay with it coming out of the second this way, which would put it after sometime next year?
Yeah.
Probably up to May. It could be as late as May, but they tell us it could be as early as right after January 1st.
I'm not in any hurry, are you?
No, like I said, I'm doing a project right now.
Yeah, and I'm fixing to
Won't
start.
be
Well,
finished
that we
until
can-
September.
We can also get a final as to how much we have in that restaurant. I think I'd like to know that as well. So we'll take no action on this one. Anyone have any action they want to take?
Yeah.
Thank you.
God bless you. Thank you for the work you're doing. Please don't think it goes unnoticed. Okay, so that was item number 8. L is in Lincoln. We'll take no action on that. Dion, come on up. I see you in the back. Oh, did he? Okay, well, are you coming up to speak?
Yeah.
Item number 8, N is in Nancy, is consideration possible approval of transfer of American Rescue Plan Act from Brown County to Center for Life Resources in the amount of $41,021.83. So they can get a vehicle. The vehicle that they're using to do our mental transport, yeah, it is got over 300,000 miles on it. And Dion said if we could find him a vehicle, we searched near and far. We prefer the Tahoes, but there's not any to be had. We even asked them to search for Suburbans. None. There's none out there, unless we want to buy something used. But the Dodge dealership did find. They asked for an SUV. The Dodge dealership did find an SUV for us, a Durango, and it will work fine. It's not a police package, but it doesn't need to be. All they're doing is transports back and forth. So the total amount of that we would transfer to Center for Life, and of course, mental health is one of the primary objectives, as Shane will tell you, on the Rescue Plan Act. So this is covered under there. We can either write the dealership a check directly, or I'll be more comfortable us giving you a check and then y'all paying for the dealership if the court approves it for records purposes, for tracking. That would be better when we get audited, which we will.
Slow down for 1 second. So
You bet.
we're talking about a vehicle for the
Center for Life, yes,
Center
for
for
the
Life.
deputies, yes.
Okay, so how they received their vehicles in the past?
They bought you know what, Dion, you could answer that.
Yeah, so typically what we do in the past is we buy used vehicles, used old law enforcement vehicles.
Law enforcement, okay.
And the sheriff,
Get high mileage.
yeah, and the sheriff doesn't allow us to use either their mental health deputies, but they have to park their vehicle and use one of the other ones when they're doing transports like Wichita Falls and all. Rightfully so, the sheriff doesn't want the mileage on his vehicles. This would give them a vehicle that's not going to break down and doesn't have 325,000 miles or however much it is. We were very fortunate to find it. It was the only SUV that they could find.
Is this something we wouldn't normally budget for? There's no one that budgets.
Right, but the Rescue Plan Act specifically gives permission for assisting mental health, and I think this would be a good investment. Right, it comes out of the rescue, it wouldn't affect our budget whatsoever, and we've the Rescue Plan, we've got funds in there to do this if y'all so choose. I think it'd be a good idea.
Being said, I'd like to motion to approve funds sent to Life.
Is it for the 41,000?
It is, but then we'll need to also add, Dion requested a partition be put in, so I would add an equipment cost up to maybe $2,000.
Is this a buy board?
No, it's just coming to Bible.
This is a used vehicle.
It's what's new.
Oh, it's brand new.
It's brand new. Yeah.
So they're gonna be buying it, not the county, and so the county is not required to go through
They're not required to go through the,
they
Well, it's under
do
50,
go through
it's under
buy board.
50,000, so I don't think they have to.
Okay.
So being at under 50, I don't think they have to.
Right, yeah.
So-
I was trying to avoid traps here.
Right. Well, that's why logistically, we'll cut you a check and then y'all can pay the dealership. The vehicle's there now waiting on you. So, I appreciate you coming. I know we put you on the spot. But
No, we're very grateful.
do we have any questions? Could you tell the court what that's going to be used for for the records? So they
Primarily the
understand?
transportation of people who have emergency decision orders. We did a little over 187 last year. So we put quite a few miles on the vehicle doing that.
And what's the furthest place that you have to take?
Wichita Falls, so it's a little over 3 hours one way and then 3 hours back, so.
And
One of those things, it's really.
They're using
really not
vehicles with 300,000 miles. We don't want you breaking down on the side of the road with a mental help patient, but could cause some stress. Yes, we have a motion. Do we have a second? I'll second. Okay, Larry's a second. We have a motion, a second, to transfer the money so they can pay for a new vehicle out of the rescue plan. Any further discussion?
What was the total amount?
It's $41,021.83. And then I'd like to add up to 2,000. Troy Carroll is going to get us the best bang for a buck to put a safety partition in the vehicle.
Probably won't cost that much.
No, I just wanted to anticipate worst case scenario.
So you're saying up to $43,021.83.
Yes. Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Did I answer all your questions?
Yep.
All in favor? Passes. We'll have the treasurer will get on that as soon as she can. So
Very grateful. Thank you.
thank you. All right. Now we're getting down to the rest of it. So under each individual, as you see under item number A, we have requests that were submitted last week for funding out of the American Rescue Plan Act. These are school districts and water utility districts. Every representative, I believe, is here to answer any questions that you have. I'd like to call each one so that we can say we read it into the record, whether you take any action on it today or not. So item number 8, D as in David will be our first one. And, I'm sorry, that's a different item. Item number 8, E as in Edward, Josh with Bangs ISD. Come on up, Josh. And he's going to tell you briefly, within 10 minutes or less, if you don't mind, what he's requesting those the rescue funds for. And y'all requested the amount of $250,000. Enlighten us. I tell you, we need to bring you in more often. You can reach all the ceiling fan. You hear that a lot, don't you?
Quite a bit. I'm always checking ceiling fans when I walk in the room because I get so many times with them. It can be an eye opener. My name's Truman Westfall. I'm Assistant Superintendent at Bangs ISD. Dr. Martin could not be here this morning. He had other prior commitments. First off, I want to thank the commission for reaching out to the school district. Again, thank you for allowing us to come here and explain our request. Now, each one of these requests, and I'll let Chris, our technology director, explain each one, but overall, let me just give a broad picture of what you're looking at here. These items here will help our broadband, which is one of the categories of your American Rescue Plan grant money. Is broadband, I believe a couple of other water and sewers. This will increase our broadband in layman's terms from a 2-lane highway to a 6-lane highway. Speed will be increased considerably. And the first item there is fiber optic cable. We have our main office and our elementary, which is approximately a mile away. We don't have fiber optic cable, overhead cable connected. We have radios talking back and forth to them, and that's not very reliable. You get a bad weather day or what have you, it tends to break down, so our kids suffer over there. So the overhead fiber optic cable would be a major improvement. Again, I'll let Chris go over all of these. And the bottom line is technology nowadays is not like buying that old John Deere tractor, where you get a John Deere tractor, it'll stay with you for 30, 40 years. Technology in 5 years is obsolete. You gotta upgrade it. So it's just it's a money pit.
What's your turnaround time on this?
Our turnaround time on this?
Turnkey, how long before you have it up and running?
I actually have a gentleman coming out Thursday to evaluate the pathway from elementary to main office and all of the other areas. He should be able to give me that once we know
You're estimating it within this academic year, you hope?
Yes, that's my.
I know we're trying to get the money to the children as soon as we can.
Yeah, with the state mandating online testing, not this school year, but next school year, obviously the sooner the better. I was in a district previously that had connectivity issues. It's a nightmare when you're trying to test. And this would definitely ease a lot of it.
And the overhead fiber cable, I did that with Lake Travis ISD in Austin. And we followed 100 miles of it. And it's a complicated, a lot of hoops you got to jump through and time consuming project. So right now I'll turn it over to Chris and let him explain the line items.
So outside of the fiber optic, which is going to give us a more reliable connection between our remote campuses, the rest of these, I'm looking at replacing the actual switches on campus. So the switches that we have on campus aren't powered, which a lot of the devices nowadays, so your phone system, probably here at the courthouse, access points, they require power from a switch. If you don't have a power from the switch, you have to plug it into outlets in the wall. It's just the way the technology is moving. And those switches, I can get a good 5 years out of. So I'm trying to get all of them in the same, we're about half and half right now. Half of them are powered, half of them aren't. But to get all of them powered, that sets me up for success for the future. The Fortinet stuff, that is access points. So that just expands our Wi-Fi area. We have across the district several problem areas that are like dead spots. So literally you can walk out of a classroom and lose connection. I'm trying to get enough hotspot the access points in to make sure that all my dead spots are covered. Which obviously, as you know, internet going in and out, that causes problems, that throws the teacher off. If I get called in a panic, it's a mess. So that's both the 431 and 432s. The 432s are outdoor units, so I'm trying to get to where I provide internet access to an outdoor facility. It's a lot of the coaches would utilize this, and it would be for like broadcasting. Pretty sure that I talked to the principal of the high school the other day. I think they want to do an audio-visual class, so they want to start getting into broadcasting. So it gives them an opportunity to go out to a large area, set up cameras. It's a career pathway.
Well, that sounds fantastic. The commissioners can, if they take action on your item today, they can approve up to the dollar amount that we listed on here. It doesn't mean that you're going to spend all of that, but if you exceed that 250,000, the district needs to understand that it's on y'all.
Yes, sir.
If you go above that.
Yes, sir. And as you have stated before, I'm also in the market to try to get the best price. So I'm getting quotes, trying to use the money responsibly for sure. So any other questions, comments?
I was gonna ask why you needed Wi-Fi outdoors at the school, but you just explained that.
Yeah, it's we're trying to expose.
All the kids can look at their phone. I don't care.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's just trying to get exposure to kids of other career pathways. I know we're doing a drone program, which some of the drones may require some internet access for footage. I'm looking into a lot of things. It's I actually came in this position in May, so there's a lot of things that I'm taking in and kind of running with. So,
Other questions for Banks? Would anybody like to take any action? Moving up to the amount they requested. Okay, you'd like to do that? Okay, so Commissioner Shaw said that they'd like to hear it from all the schools and then consider it all at once. So,
I understand if you can't make a decision today, I know it's a lot of money. We will be waiting anxiously for your decision, so we're down.
All right, thank you
very much.
Appreciate it.
All right, next is item number 8F is in Frank. I'm trying to get through these as quick as I can, fellas. I know some of you need a restroom. Frank. Oh. Steve Mickelson with Brooksmith ISD. Brooksmith has also requested up to $250,000 under the American Rescue Plan. Like you heard from Steve last week, but I asked everybody to come back and officially read their request into the record today. So, Steve, how are you?
All right, doing good. Good to see you all again. Ours is pretty. I brought Mr. Copeland, our principal. They show want to get into more of the details within the getting the estimates and all this good thing, but ours is pretty basic. American Rescue Act says that it can be used COVID mitigation for things such as HVAC and window repair, replacement, so on and so forth. It's pretty detailed in there. It seems to cover what we're wanting to do exactly. So we don't have windows in our high school. We have one little bitty window in his office. That's it. And when they put that building in, there's not a single classroom in it that even has a window. And we desperately need those windows for our teachers, for our kids, for, of course, all the above as far as the COVID mitigation, ventilation, all this kind of things, the reasons that are listed in this American Rescue Act. But also, and in addition to that, that's a pretty big expense. And so, in addition to that, the HVAC units are specifically listed in the grant, and we need a good 20 of them.
So is it, you don't have the money set anywhere else, so if they don't prove it, you can't go forward with these projects?
That is correct.
So you have no funding available anywhere else?
There's no funding that we have that can cover it anyway. And next year's gonna be a pretty tight year for us anyway.
Didn't you just get a regular big check from the solar deal?
I wish we did. We're still waiting on that to transpire. We did get some money, I think, this last year. It was we received one payment of $50,000, and that's already gone with our district. And this next year, we're not receiving anything from any solar projects. And so, no, there's nothing in here in our budget that we could use to cover this at all, and we desperately need it. It'll be exceptionally helpful to us. The estimates that we've received so far, one of them for the windows is 109, the other one is 140, so it came to like 249,000.
Is this cinder block you're gonna have to cut holes in?
Yes, cinder block, we had to cut holes in. And there is additional windows that we need, like we need them in the ag shop. The ag classroom out there doesn't have windows either. I did not put this in the estimate. I knew that 250,000 was what we had to put out there. We're totally be thrilled with that, and we can do the ag building over time to get it done. But this would be very helpful for the kiddos and everybody, so it'll affect a lot of people. And it'd be great if we could get it moving into this next school year if it were possible.
Questions for Brooke Smith?
Why did they not put windows in when they did that? They're thinking about the safety for the active shooter thing or something? Or?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. It's tucked away back in there. I would think that would have been.
Well, this is rather old building.
This is an old building, yeah. I don't even know when it was put in. Do you have any idea?
It was in the late 90s, I believe.
Late 90s, something like that. So, yeah, I do not know. I wish we should have windows. They're very nice.
This one's 1911, we're still using it.
Yes, there you go. Yeah. Structurally, it's a good building. It's a nice building. It works well.
Questions for Brooke Smith? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
There you go.
And our last of the school districts, I know a lot of you need a restroom break. I'm getting through this as quick as I can, would be early ISD. Come on up, Dwayne. Item number 8G is in George, early ISD consideration possible action regarding funding of COVID-19 or COVID mitigation for early ISD under the American Rescue Plan Act. I have to read all this for the record. For a sum of, their sum was $317,499. And again, this is early. No, I'm sorry, 250. 250. My apologies. I'm skipping down to the water already. So they've requested up to 250 like the other school districts. And this is the last of the school districts that have requested help under the rescue plan.
All right, thanks for having me here today and listening to me. And I'm not going to beat a dead horse with you because Banks and I have been talking, and so I'm along the same lines as him. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse and tell you the same thing they've said. So technology is rapidly changing. We're supposed to be testing online next year, and at the rate we're going, school districts aren't going to obtain that. I have a 5-year plan put together to mitigate that problem. It's 5 years. That's not going to help me. So when all the ESSER funds come out and this came out, I quickly started figuring out ways that I could switch my gears and possibly get this sped up. Right now, we are using our antennas to communicate back and forth wirelessly, just like Bangs. It's wireless bridges. It is not very effective. You get a rainstorm or something, you lose internet connectivity amongst a couple of campuses. The good thing is, I'm ahead a little bit. I have a couple of my campuses already connected with fiber. I just need a couple of more. And so I started reaching out for bids prior to this because I wanted to get my numbers together on how much. My total project is going to run me about $500,000. So I started looking at what the fiber would cost me. The fiber is about $249,000 to $269,000. That's between the bids that I got so far. So I'm gonna run fiber to connect all my buildings with fiber. So I have one circle. Then I want to add wireless access points, which I've already started that process, but I'm going to add more. One of the things I want to do is to help our rural community with internet access. I want to add an access point at the front of each school. So I want to go one-to-one with our campuses, with our kids. 6 through 12, I'm eventually, this is in my budget, over my plan, I want to get them a device to take home. Because not all kids have a device at home. So once they have that device, they can come up to the school if they don't have internet, and they can sit in front of the school and connect to internet. So yeah, it would be a lot better if I could run internet to their house. I can't feasibly do that. So I got to figure out a creative way to reach the rural community. And so with this, what I would like to do is this would speed up my plan of being able to lay fiber to all my buildings, complete my circle, and then the money that I had set aside working on infrastructure such as switches and wireless access points, I could speed that process up. And then the next phase would be getting devices in kids' hands to take home. So it basically speeds up my 5-year plan rapidly.
You understand that if the court funds it, it would be up to $250,000, but it's a one-time deal, and anything over $250, you'd be responsible for.
Correct. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You're
And
looking
so,
to spend it mainly on fiber, just your fiber project, probably.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so I look at the 250 as being a way to speed this up. I could possibly take off. I'm looking at probably 2 years off my plan. My complete plan would just get this money. If not, I was going to have to budget it over time, and that was going to be a long process.
Have you approached the city of Early with this also?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know that the city of Early got some funds at one point, and I asked for them, and I didn't get any response from them.
I believe they got around $800,000. It wasn't anywhere near what Brownwood and the county got, but they did get some.
Any help would be appreciated. It would help speed that process up and
Questions
get
for
what they need.
Early ISD, questions? No?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Item number
Yes, ma'am.
8 is in Edward, F is in Frank, and G is in George, are what you now have to consider funding under the American Rescue Plan Act. Each of them have asked for the assistance for, as you know, fiber optics and COVID mitigation. It would, if you so choose, it would come out of the Rescue Plan Act, which is what that money's there for. It's a one-time payment. They understand that. And we will track every expense to make sure that it is covered under the permissible.
All those schools have been contacted in the county.
Yes, we didn't hear
There's
anything.
four more school districts that are not on the list.
We didn't hear anything from Blanket, even though we reached out to them twice.
That's
Everybody was contacted, and the ones that responded are the ones that have requested. And now if somebody comes in later in the year, we're still gonna have money if Blanket decides they've got a project.
Yeah, I don't know what the rate we're going, you'd be surprised.
You're spending it pretty quick.
Yeah,
I'm keeping tabs.
right now, just with what we've heard, not counting any of the water bills, nearly $4 million.
Of course, no one's suggesting that you fund all of those, and even if you did, you've got a second disbursement of that money as well, so we'd have to prioritize. But, you have a question, Sean?
No, I was just gonna say, I still think it'd be a good time to just pick a day, 2 or 3 weeks or a month or whenever, and get a list of everybody's request and then kind of vote. You're gonna have to budget it because it's gonna be, all the requests are gonna be more than the total amount. So somebody's gonna get cut somewhere.
Right.
I don't think we have to make decisions today on any of this.
So you want to take no action on those 3 items then? I know y'all are trying to get it in this school year, but
Well, there's two ways to look at this. Part of this is to help speed things up because of the last year so being against, if they're waiting 2 years, that's kind of like after the fact.
Well, I don't think anybody's suggesting waiting 2 years.
Well,
I
I'm just
think,
saying, so I mean, I
but
don't think
I
we need
think-
to try to kick the can down the road as far as possible. We may want to stop and think a little bit.
I think that's what we're wanting to do. It's not something that we have to do today.
it is not.
One reason I voted for that other today is people hurt.
Yeah, there's
41,000 people's hurt. We got that took care of.
So do I have any proposals to take any action, or we're taking no action on these 3 items?
I think we need to, I don't mind thinking a little bit more before we do those big items, right?
So y'all
We get asked, and make sure we got it.
let me know when you would like it to be back on the agenda, otherwise I won't put it back on.
My priority is the school, water districts,
Which they're next, right?
and the schools. You know, some of that other stuff.
All right, so item number 8, H is in Henry, is Mr. Adams from Brooksmith Water District. Come on up, Steve. And they have requested $317,499. You heard from them last week as well, but I asked them to come back to answer any questions that you have. I don't know what the urgency is to these projects, but please enlighten us.
We're good. We're gonna wait on you guys. We'll do whatever we need to do. It's very urgent that we get some of this stuff taken care of, but we've got the bid process to go through and all of that also. So thank you guys for hearing us, our request from Brooksmith Special Utility District today. With the things with COVID and what happened back in the winter storm in February, one of our biggest problems is we don't know what this stuff's gonna cost. We don't know the availability of these generators. Everybody's asking for them at the same time, even our PVC pipe. And people that are producing that and just completely, they're telling us to put all the projects off that we can because the prices have gone up. Some of the stuff up to 200% is just absolutely crazy. I know you guys are seeing that in everything that's going on in the building industry and all of it. But thank you for hearing us. The Brooksmith SUD experienced a significant decline in the quantity of water available during the winter storm Uri in February of 2021. At that time, electric service to the Sherwood Drive pump station was interrupted and the SUD came close to running out of water in her distribution system. Drinking water outages present a health risk and safety risk, especially in groups such as the elderly, which are sometimes not capable of getting outside their homes and searching for an alternative water source such as bottled water. The potential outage would also be a tremendous inconvenience to all other water customers. To mitigate against future water outages, the SUD is proposing to install backup generators at 3 of our existing pump station sites. We have 4, but one site that we're not looking at putting a generator, we can go around that site. But each site that we have that we can't do that, we're looking at, and we were looking at doing this this program before this money came available to us. So this is something that Brooksmith SUD need very badly. Anytime that we have, and TCEQ has some requirements on us also on generators and things like that. The Brooksmith SUD has proposed to bid all 3 sites, and also we are available to contribute additional cash from our general fund to cover any construction budgeted shortages other than the numbers that we've given you guys today. The contractor will be responsible for installing the generators. This would include a concrete pad for the generators to be located on and all other electrical work to tie the generators into the existing electric service that we have now. Currently, we have over 4 million gallons in storage in Brooksmith Special Utility District. That's including 8 structures. We're growing. We've got over 4,000 meters out there. When I came on board 5 years ago, the number was close to like 3,700. We continue to move up. We're growing currently. We've got folks looking at line infrastructures that we try to get our customers to take care of that. But the further out you go, our lines get smaller, and Brooksmith SUD is looking at lots of projects. We have a major project going out there at Shamrock Shores. We have a USDA grant that is an ongoing project that hasn't got started actually yet, but the process is ongoing on getting that money secured from USDA. And so we're constantly in the process of growing our system. We are currently buying approximately on an average of about 1.75 million gallons a day from Rankin Water Improvement District. That's an average over a year's time. And we had an event come up July the 4th that probably didn't affect a lot of people out in the county, but we did have an electric station go out in the Bangs neighborhood that they had a snake get up in one of their regulators, and it knocked it out. It knocked power out to our Sherwood station again. Some of the things that happen sometimes that we're not aware of is we're reading our SCADA system, and our SCADA system is showing that tower there at the Sherwood station, 95% full. When that power got knocked out, that number stayed there. While that tank is draining, we're still showing a 95%. We didn't even realize it had happened. So we started getting some calls for low water, and it completely drained that Sherwood station. We had 2 million gallons in our storage tank right beside it, our ground storage. But with electricity out, we couldn't pump it to them. So we were out of water, and we had people running out of water at that point in time. These backup generators would make a big help in eliminating those problems completely.
So how many, with the 250, or the 317, how many would that buy you?
The $317,400 or $500 would buy us 3 275 kilowatt generators.
Just want to make sure.
At $75,000 a piece, a total of $225,000.
And y'all would assume the annual maintenance costs for all of those?
Yes, sir. It would also provide 3 concrete pads. And I've got that at $7,500. Concrete's going up. We are talking about going ahead and putting these out for bids and getting a good number. But right now, if we can get that money at $317,500, which I know will be probably low, we'd love to have it. We'll take care of anything over and above that. It also has 3 electrical cross connections for when we put the generators up there, to have the electrical from the building and the pumps going to it. And we're not asking for full service also. We're talking about at our 2 big pump stations, we've got 200 horsepower pumps and motors, and 250 horsepower pumps and motors. And we're just asking for the electrical power to furnish power to half that. We're looking at 100 horsepower and a 50 horsepower, which if we have electrical outage for a day, it won't interrupt anything that we're doing. If we've got the generators there that can handle that. Anything over a day, I think we'll be okay for a couple of days, but we haven't had that study on yet. So, but anything like that $317,500, I think that number is going to be light compared to what we're trying to do, but we can get that. We're good with that, and we'll take care of the funds. Anything after that. Any questions for Brooks Smith, SUD?
You answered all of them ahead of time.
Sir?
You answered all our questions ahead of time.
Thank you for that, and I appreciate the time to come up before you. It's a big project that would help us out a whole lot if we can get that money from this out.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Do y'all want to hear the others before you decide what to do on the water districts as well?
Again, I don't think we need to decide on any of it today.
Item number 8I, Ida, is Commissioner Kelton. He's going to speak for the May Water District.
May Water District is a small well water system out there, and it's not currently tied to any other system. We were looking previously before this for ways to tie in with emergency tie-in to Zephyrs Tower, which is 2 miles perhaps south of town. And I've done a little talking. We don't have any firm figure. We're still in the process of trying to hire an engineer. May's so small they didn't currently have an engineer under contract in any way. They don't have any paid employees other than a part-time bookkeeper, and we pay a guy to be our operator. There's actually no hired person. It's like a full-time guy that can come speak for them. But we were looking at a project before that for the interconnect, which they're telling me can be $20 to $30 a foot to install a water line. We don't know what size. It has to be engineered. Not sure how far they have to go back into town to catch a line to bring up tie into. That alone could exceed $316,000. We were already looking for a way to replace a bunch of our isolation valves in the system. We, a year and a half or so ago, Bob and I did a little looking around, just searching, there was 45,000, I'm just on the top of my head, I don't remember the exact numbers, just to replace those isolation valves. We know that we have some unmapped add-ons. The instrumentation in there is ancient. This system was built in '68 and it's had some updates on it, not much. It's where our fire trucks fill up. There's going to be other needs when we get an engineer to look at this and actually help us prioritize our needs. So this amount we asked for would nowhere fix everything that needs to get this place kind of up to date and up to more modern standards. So, but there again, parts are hard to get. Things are overpriced right now. So even if you get a plan in place, which it would take a while to get a plan in place, maybe then some of the stuff would be more available and prices would come down. But
So for the record though, the dollar amount, so I can read it into the record, is $350,284. Is that what you have?
that is what we're asking.
Any questions for Commissioner Kelton on names?
So the nearest is 2 miles from y'all, is the nearest
It's
Zephyr?
every 2 miles, I think. Well, it depends on how far. That's another question for an engineer.
1.2 is what I'm.
Well, that's to the nearest connection, correct? But they tell me don't have how far that's going to catch a 4-inch line. So we're not sure how far you have to go back into town to actually on a line big enough to tie it. You may have to replace a long section of line back into catch one of our larger lines to be able to do that. There's some things there that's gonna have to be engineered. We don't have answers for it yet, but I know that we can exceed that easily.
Where is that, the nearest Zephyr point?
At our standpipe.
They have a standpipe water tower about a mile and a half or so. I'm gonna call it a mile and a half south of town.
Never even noticed it. Can't think of my mind.
It's the biggest thing in the area.
So I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Tallest thing in the area.
Yeah, I know where it is.
There's a tower,
Yeah.
a tank sits right on the highway.
So item number
What is the height? Is that a 75 foot? It's 110 foot.
8I is also a water district request. Is that for if you want to
J.
come on? J, I'm sorry. J as in John is a water district request. Is that for $255,011? Up to that amount.
Yeah, and that's just pretty much standard. We're all on the same bus here. We would like to do something, in the future, we'll probably, there's a chance that we're gonna take on Maine, but our deal is we did 2 bids for generators, backup generators. We did ours as mobile, not permanent on the concrete pad. We did ours better mounted, because of our large area. We have 3 station sites that we consider to be very needed, especially at the time we found out in February. You kind of find out what your needs really are, what they need to be. That's why we chose to go with the mobile units. If anything happens in a certain area, because our power grid is the same as like Banks and Bruce Smith. Different substations feed different deal. We have 2 different providers, so one area will have power, one area won't. So that's where the majority of our money went, was for these bids and the connections to make these mobile units connect to our buildings. We have to do some power upgrades inside the building, like switches and all those plugins.
Switch gear and plug.
Yeah, switch gear, all that, in the same thing, I mean, during February, we did supply water at very minimal. And we just want to up that because we have this since we've accumulated Thunderbird Bay, Close Point, and Emmerich Mountain areas, which is stretching the limits pretty far. We're all on the same bus. We want to look for the future. We may be doing a service interconnection with May at some point. Take an emergency connection. We already have an emergency connection with the city of Lincoln. If they have a problem, they come to us, we turn off the valve, got water. That way everybody on our side of the world can have water. That's our biggest deal as far as these 2 mobile generators. One is going to be larger than the other just because we have 2 different
two different sites that are sized different. This is not maximum power, this is minimum power, both sides. Then we gotta go to, put some money in there for, SCADA system. The North Lake stuff is put in 1968, very old. It's way outdated.
Probably 78.
Yes, if we can update it just a little bit, it would go a long way in maintaining those people, their safety in water as far as pressure. Right now, it's the old Wrigley Way, you drive up there, and if you got a problem, that's where you find it. There's no communication in that area at all. And it's going along with that, and the same deal is, that same area, none of that system has been upgraded since they installed it. Those people are still on old-fashioned lines, old-fashioned valves, old-fashioned flush valves. We've currently increased their water pressure by 15 pounds in the last month. And they were not used to it. They were like, what is this? What's happening? We're gonna increase it more. We're gonna try to do away with a lot of antique stuff out there. But at the same time, we have prices in here for installation of new valves, isolation valves. Right now, you cut off one, you cut them all off.
Yeah, the Christmas lights.
Several of them. Worse. Yeah, if you have one in one area, you cut the whole thing off, and that's not happening to people. So we need to install some isolation valves and get that to a minimal if we do have a leak or somebody has a problem that we can maintain close to the public and have safe water. And we can monitor the whole water notices down. It's not different about it.
So questions for Zephyr?
May I add something there? I think May is the last system in Cole County that doesn't have an emergency tie-in somehow with another system. That's the one, and it's been we've discussed this quite a
When we did
bit.
the Holden project, there's a stub out sitting here.
Say again?
There's a stub out, we have a stub out in the valve that was dedicated for future expansion. May, but it's still not half away from May.
What's the line on it?
6 inch.
That's what the engineers gotta help us figure out. You gotta have that engineered. I was thinking 4 inches, what we were thinking.
Yeah, we're stubbed out with a 4, but we have 6 inch on the other side of the valve. So we got way plenty of water to go in.
But we can't make that call. It has to be engineered.
That's right.
It has to be
You can't
engineered.
just go dig your line and.
No, we can't do that.
That's where we're at. We're working on trying to get an engineer in place right now. Because we can't make any of those decisions on our own.
Is that some state regulation?
It's TCEQ. I guess, and who else? TCEQ. Yeah, so there's a lot of decisions. We need to- I got a good idea. A lot of things we know we need to do, but you can't do it without an engineer.
Any other
So
questions?
you can't go out for bids till you get in, know what you're going for.
Any other questions for Zephyr? All right, again, that's item number H is in Henry, I is in Ida, and J is in John are the water districts. They've requested a total of $922,794. The school districts have requested a total of $750,000. That's Bangs, Brooks, Smith, and Early. You've heard from each of them telling you what they want to use it for. I understand there's not any definite urgency just to approve these today. However, they have done, they told us what they need, and I just want to use this money for what it was designed for, and I want to get it back to the people as however we can, as quick as we can. No one is suggesting that we fund everything that was mentioned here today. The district attorney's deal, that's going to take a lot more studying because it's going to affect so many people. We've got a committee appointed for that, and then the records retention, that doesn't have to be out of this first disbursement. If y'all were to approve it, it could come out of the second. So that cuts that number.
Brown County Water Improvement District, yes. I didn't see
Well, they asked for, they need a total of 2.7 million for the generator, but the city of Brownwood hasn't decided what they're gonna do yet. If they don't do half, we can't afford to do the project. So that aspect of it is on hold. I do have one announcement on that. John Allen, I'm not sure if you heard this morning, but the new infrastructure bill that's supposed to pass this week has got a special section to deal with issues like the zebra mussels. So there'll be funding in there for that if it passes. So good news. I just saw you sitting out there and I thought I'd share that with you.
Well, I will say that some of these things that they're dealing with in North Lake, there are some pretty interesting yes, you're getting by with it right now, but there's some things out there I know that need to happen pretty soon. We're dealing with some valves that won't shut off and some leaky valves and stuff. So there's some things out here that I don't need to wait forever on for May, but we're still in the process of getting an engineer lined up. But before you get too far, you need to know, we probably need to know.
Like Steve said, though, you may want to do it, but you may not get stuff to do it with.
Well, even if you do it, you need to start lining in once the prices come down some of that, but.
And then time you do it, they go up.
So
I just passed around some information. That's the National Association of Counties.
Right.
Just a good summary that shows two things. Some key dates here on the first page that shows when funds need to be incurred and obligated and when they need to be expended. Then on the second page is a good synopsis of appropriate uses. It's just a guide for county officials in making these decisions.
Well, if y'all approve the water district and the school request, that with Center for Life, that puts us at right around 1.7 million of 3.5 that we have deposited.
1.469.
Well, in my mind, my opinion, rural water to me has been a priority over all the others.
I agree.
And it affects a lot of people. And of course, this winter storm pointed out a lot of faults. It's probably won't happen again for a long time, but even a long time electrical outages, that's when we finally got our generator made. We could go for just a few hours. We had 27,000 gallons of water run out. So
Yeah, the water bill.
No, it's good.
So I know that someone will look at this. Some of these things in my mind are pretty solid. But then, so some of these needs are pretty solid and need to be.
And again, they understand, I want to reiterate for the record, they understand that if you approve it, it's a one-time funding opportunity, and that anything that goes above what they've requested, they're responsible for. And of course, if they come in under, then we don't have to fund as much as they requested. That's a possibility as well, too. It doesn't usually happen in government. So I personally would like to see us move forward for the children so they can get their broadband up and running as soon as possible with the schools. And then of course, we don't want to do without water again. Everybody needs their water. So I'd like to see those two items move forward. We have the funding in the American Recovery, then we'll have a substantial amount left over. If we want to do an open forum like Shane and Commissioner, I think it's an excellent idea. My only concern with that is I fear that some people will show up wanting to be funded, and the Rescue Act doesn't. I don't like having to give people bad news, but I think it's a great idea to get the community involved.
If they show up and it's not an appropriate use, then you
It
just
can
say
explain
no.
it. Yeah, I just. So if you add in the 43 for the vehicle, I've got around, this is an approximate 1.7 of 3.5, so about half of it.
But I mean, those.
Well, I would make a motion, what are Shane, I would make a motion to go ahead and move forward on the free water district. Yes, ma'am.
What item?
Oh,
Well,
we're talking about H, I,
I'm
and
going
J.
to move forward with the three water districts, which is H, I, and J. Go ahead and let them know that funding is available up to that amount. Now, they may not spend it all, they have to account for it all, and have to make sure it all qualifies for the act, but they need to be able to have what they have to work with to move forward with some of this stuff, ourselves included.
You're talking about Brooksmith and Zephyr Water?
May, Brooksmith, and Zephyr, and all three of those actually come into my precinct.
Get some engineering done.
Well, that's, we do.
Okay.
But I mean, it's up to that amount, and we'll come back before we spend a penny, we have to approve an individual expenditures, I'm sure. Make sure they're covered, but they need to know before we even hire an engineer what he's got to work with.
So we have a motion to approve items number H, I, and J, which are the funding for the water districts, at the dollar amounts listed. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on funding the water district?
Up to that amount.
Up to that amount. All in favor? That passes. I'm actually in favor of the school districts with the exception of Brooksmith because they're gonna be cutting holes in walls and all. I'd like to study that one a little bit more, but I would like to.
We just wait on all the schools until we get everybody.
Well, we've heard from them. I don't know what else we
I
can.
know.
They've come twice and told us what they want to do.
Well, I think that, I don't think that, I think they're appropriate requests, and I think everybody thinks that they're appropriate requests. The problem is, you're just gonna run out of money. And at some point in time, you just have to say, see, now we're down to,
At least that's what we spend.
so we've spent a 1.5 million so far.
Do the school, that's where we're
We're
at.
basically earmarked.
We expected to spend that.
Yeah,
We
and so,
anticipate.
but my whole point is, all of your requests are gonna exceed the amount of money.
Yeah.
That's like all of your bills are gonna be more than you're making this month. And so at some point in time, you've got to say, okay, here's my checkbook, and I've got
Well,
$2,000 to spend, and so.
actually, it won't after the second disbursement, but you're right, out of the
Well,
first
it
disbursement.
can because
I think it probably will, even with the second
Where
disbursement.
it gets, yeah.
We're already into the,
We're not.
we're already into
Well,
the second, already.
Nobody, that's if we fund the 1.5 for the district attorney.
We're gonna have to buy there sooner or later.
Gentlemen, I guarantee you that the other four school districts, when they hear that the three have gotten 250,000, they're gonna come and want 250,000 also. No matter if they didn't ask for anything this time. Now, they're going to.
We did reach out to them. I can't
It
make
doesn't
them
matter, Judge.
Yes, Sharon.
When they understand that we have given
answer. I hear you.
$750,000 to three school districts, those other four are gonna line up and say they want their part too.
I hear you.
When you give out free ice cream, they will come. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. When
Yes,
there's,
Sharon.
like Joel said, when there's free ice cream, everybody comes out of the woodwork.
It's just a question. They say this amount, if they want to spend up to this amount. My question is, why can't everybody get a piece of it, not the full amount? Is that not a?
Well, it's project specific.
Well, I'll say.
Sharon, that's what Shane and I have been suggesting,
But in
that
my-
everybody come and tell us what they would like to have, and then we take all of those requests and pare them down to what we can do.
I don't even expect the whole amount, but a piece of it would be good.
Well, in my mind, no
Giving it
rule.
all to the water and the schools, and we pay taxes for schools. I mean, just to.
We pay taxes to the county
We
too.
made it.
But I mean, you know, this weekend, I talked to two different small business owners in Brownwood. They absolutely, that is an appropriate use of fund for a small business to come in here and say, my income last year was down because of COVID. That's no question, unquestioned, that's an appropriate use of funds. Yeah, we've got a whole town full of people that were hurt. We've got a whole community full of people who were hurt because of COVID that have every right in the world to come down here and ask. I'm telling you, it's $7 million sounds like a lot of money, but when you start handing it out, it's not a lot of money. And there are more than $7 million worth of appropriate uses of this money in Brown County. So at some point in time, somebody's going to get told no. And if you spend it all up front, then there may be somebody that comes in and they're the most appropriate request and they're not going to get it. And I think what Sharon is, you're exactly right. At some point in time, if somebody comes before this commission and says, you know, I want to spend $350,000 on this project, we might get down to saying, you know what, we can't give you 350, but we can give you 200.
Exactly. And I guarantee you, Joel, I don't think my school district knows about this.
They supposedly, I mean, I've asked again, they supposedly contacted everybody twice.
Well, I will tell
And
you.
I actually sent a message to Howard to see if he'd been contacted, and I hadn't heard back.
And I will tell you, I've talked to
When I say
people
Steve, I tried to contact our school superintendent and
Okay, so we take a
And I've
note.
talked to people all over the community in the last week that said, we had no earthly idea that this was available.
Well, it's been in
Particularly,
the paper 2 or 3 times. I don't know how else
do we even have a
We don't
paper?
get a paper.
I mean,
Get a paper.
So we're under a time constraint. Are we not, so we're not gonna take any actions, what it sounds like on the school districts.
Well, and I will say, once again, I've thought about all this, but I still prioritize rural water as touching a lot of people out there that could. It's a rare chance
Was made
to get.
without water during the freeze?
Ma'am?
Was made without water during the
We
freeze?
had them 20 or so, we kept them, whatever, it was 13.
I was not without water, but I have a well.
So we approved
I
the
was just
water.
wondering if May was without water.
No, we worked down there for hours on end. I was down there every hour working to keep the system going. We kept
And that's
water
probably
there.
a once in a lifetime freeze.
That is.
hopefully.
So
That is the other
we did,
problems we have.
we
are
did
not.
approve the water districts, item number H, I, and J, so those were funded, but the school district sounds like we're just gonna table that for now.
And it may take 2 years to get this stuff done, but we got it, but I'm talking about.
Okay.
And
So that'll-
waiting like, see, was it told you, wait, slow down your project so the material catches up because we're
That'll
more
take,
behind on materials, so that may work out good. but
That'll
you know
take
what
us
you got
to-
work with.
item number 8D is David, which is Commissioner Shaw, consideration of possible approval of action regarding application to install a product line by Zephyr Water District on County Road 270.
Okay, it's a cut on the water line, Zephyr, and install a water line on County Road 270, across it, and it will be done up to county specs. I'll make a motion to approve the application.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carries unanimously. It's unanimous. So then we go over to item number 7, which is consideration and approval of payment of bills as needed.
I'm not supposed to pay the bills. Saying about all it.
Okay, a motion to pay the bills. Do I have a second?
Just 1 second to look real quick, please. I hadn't had to look through here, or I hadn't taken the time to do it.
They work here. What's it again?
Speaking of that, did y'all see the marker out front?
No.
I'm looking at the,
Take a look at it. Maintenance painted the base of it, so it looks real nice.
I'll second Shaw's motion to pay the bills as presented by the auditor.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on paying the bills? All in favor? Carries unanimously. Our last item is item number,
Well, we gotta go back to burn ban. I want Larry.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I
yeah.
want Larry to be here though.
okay. Uh,
I think we can, we're good with the remaining off for this week.
You want to see what Larry said? Make sure he's not
He
the
was the best.
Well, I'll wait. Make sure he don't feel like he's fine.
Okay, well, while we're waiting on Larry to come back, we'll go to item number 9, which is any announcements that you have under commissioners' announcements. No action can be taken on this item. Stephanie, would you mind giving us, the commissioners an update? If y'all will hear Stephanie out for a second, she's gonna tell you where and what the painting and restoration projects are at.
Brownwood Decorating is gonna start painting on Labor Day weekend on the 2nd floor. They're gonna do the 2nd floor hallway and they're gonna paint in the JP's office. And then in October, they're gonna start painting the outside of the courthouse.
Just didn't want you to think we forgot about it. Y'all approved all of it. It's just the contractors are all behind, so it's taking us a little while.
The parking lot, are we doing discussions now?
Yep.
The parking lot over here, there's the treasurer's office there. It's got some pretty big holes and stuff on it. We've come over and looked at that. We just need to pick a date. Sometime we're going to come sweep those holes out and clean them up. The date we do that, we'll have to, when we get mutual, we'll have to get everybody to park their cars
Somewhere
in the
else.
other parking lot for that day or so. I mean, going over here on the east side or something, but we hadn't determined that yet, but be prepared because we need to get everything. We're gonna sweep. We'll be making dirt and dust. And, so we'll need room to turn machines around. So we'll ask everybody to move everything out over to the other parking lot, whatever day that is. But
Speaking of redoing things, everything that's tan on the outside will be painted white with a seal coat so that it'll stop crumbling and help protect it. So when she mentions painting outside, so the pillars will become white and it'll match the window frames. I think it'll look nice. But that's sometime this fall when the painters can get it.
I was asked at the cafe the other morning about the video billboard in Early that you have out there. Is that a political advertisement or
No,
what's that?
Pay for it out of my pocket.
Okay, that's all I'm asking.
Yeah. No, it's not. It doesn't say elect or anything. It just says thank you.
Yeah, I saw it. Another thing, item M, the things don't add up in that.
Here's the master list.
Well, it said we approved $41,350, but if you add things all together, you get $47,052. The auditor is wondering,
That's from the auditor. That's the number I had.
said these don't even add up.
That's what Josie gave me.
I'm looking at the item M, and you add all that together. Whether it's a typo or whatever, it doesn't add up.
It may be. Stephanie tried to list them out. But the list that I just handed you is my only copy, by the way. That came from Josie.
The official record on the agenda, I can approve it, even if we don't put in the budgeted amount.
Yeah, we took out the one that was from Weatherford that asked for $15,000 or something like that or more. They're not even locally based here, so we took that nonprofit out.
Which one was that?
They came and made a presentation to me. They're out of Weatherford. They're wanting to expand out this way, but we already have nonprofits that we support that does what they're asking us to fund. So Josie and I struck that one from which brought it down substantially because they were asking for a large amount of money. It was a
So
total.
if these amounts, other than the Center for Life, because that's the amount that's their actual budget, so we'll pull that out.
Right.
But if we use these amounts in this line item, then we're at, from what my little rinky-dink phone calculator says, we're at 40,900. So if we pull out that 5,200, which we can't use, because it's their actual budget, then we're under the 41,350, so we should be good.
Okay. And then the vehicle was totally separate.
The vehicle is separate, yes. So I'll have, which we can't write the check for until they give us the
Right.
total, and so they'll have to go.
We haven't, he sent me an invoice already. I'll get it to you.
Okay, but,
Just so you have the dollar amounts.
no, yeah, so he's got it with the equipment and all of that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so once we get the invoice, then we'll put it in the bills and set next week.
Yes.
So my understanding is, just so we're clear, we're paying exactly what is listed on item M, except for the Center for Life 5,200, because that is a line item budget.
So you're saying the total is 40,900?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we're waiting on
Burn ban.
So we have anything else under item number 9? So get off that and go back to the bird ban.
Shaw had stated he was okay with that. If
Appropriate.
Gary can do that. So we'll try to go another week then. Okay.
And if you'd like, I will try and maybe see what dates Adams Community Center is available and try and get something set up. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, we paid the bill, we didn't sign the bills.
Yeah, I hadn't got a signature. All right, so we're gonna take no action on the burn ban, is what it sounds like. We're down with item number 9. So, once the bills come around, we'll take a short 10-minute restroom break, and then we'll come back and open our budget workshop. Yes, ma'am.
The metal detecting, that
Oh,
letter,
yes, I'm sorry. I have we have a request from a special needs young man who has requested to come metal detect on our search for anything in our grass around the courthouse. So I certainly did not tell him it was okay. I wanted to run it past y'all and see if there was any objections. I've got his letter in there somewhere. I just can't find it.
Is it on the agenda?
That's a public,
Yeah, it was not asking for any action to be taken on it, I just seen somebody object to it. It is public property, I just wanted to, here's the young man wrote us a nice letter, if anybody wants to read it. Okay, when do we need to meet again, Gary, before you leave?
Next Monday is
The ninth?
scheduled meeting.
Okay, so, we'll meet again on the 9th, and I'll declare this meeting adjourned, and in 10 minutes or so, we'll open our budget workshop.
okay.
I don't want my eyes on the movies.
Yeah.